Welcome to the Bot Signal. My name is RJ Redden. Entrepreneurs hire me to set fire to marketing methods that no longer work because most can't get found online to save their lives. So, I create messages that connect, build relationships, and close deals. Bottom line, torch what isn't working for you and join the messenger marketing revolution. Today's episode, marketing messages that really work. I'm going to talk a little bit about a conference that I attended last week in Chicago, which was fabulous. And I'm going to talk about one of the sessions that we have there that really struck me. So without further ado, here we go. All right, let's talk about a little conference I went to last week. And I'm talking about this because I'm hoping to attract some of you. Honestly, this thing was super packed with value. And I just can't get over it. How different it was from most of the conferences that I've attended in my life. And it was fun people. Great structure. And I'm going to go into that for a minute, just in case you find yourself wanting a conference like this next year. Then you will be able to be there with me because I'm going again. The conference was called Brilliance and Badassery. And of course, because what other kind of conference am I possibly attending? Anyway, it was the structure of it was really very different. And originally I kind of wanted to name off all of the people that I met. And then I realized that I would be naming off every single person who attended. And that would be a little ridiculous to hear about. So I do want to thank the organizers. They were amazing, amazing women, and that was a big deal to pull off, I thought, and just so super well organized, and I had such a wonderful time. But here's the deal: in this particular conference, it wasn't some experts, right? Stuffed shirt types droning on from the top of the stage and giving food to the masses, basically. It wasn't like that. As conference attendees, we set the agenda. We decided what the breakout meetings were about. We got to talk about the things that we wanted to hear. We got to decide in the middle of the breakout session if we wanted to be there or not. The rule of 2 feet. If you're not getting something, move until you do. It was really, really well done. And instead of being, one person gets up every hour and talks about how cool they are and how much of an expert they are, and then has something for sale at the end of it, basically, and then we move on to the next person who does exactly the same thing, but a slightly different topic. We got to set the agenda. We got to talk about the issues that we wanted to talk about and get the questions answers that we wanted to get. So I loved it. And instead of that one-to-many sort of message experience, we all got to help each other out. It was like, entrepreneurship is a lonely game. I don't talk about this too often, but entrepreneurship is kind of lonely sometimes. We kind of toil away in our individual offices across the country and around the world, and because we've got a dream. And we've got a relentless need to make it happen. And sometimes that can get really lonely depending on, how many hours we work and our family situation and all that kind of stuff. But in this place, we were able to all get together. And we're all on different levels, different levels of having been in business for how long and how successful you are and all of that kind of stuff. But what this allowed us to do was to pull each other up a couple of levels, no matter where you started at the conference that I went to, the Brilliance and Badassery. You ended up a couple levels up from where you were. You got a chance to help somebody else who was, needing an answer to a question or maybe struggling with somebody. And you also have the opportunity to ask for help and get an action plan and commit and maybe get some accountability for that. So if you're an entrepreneur, check this thing out. I'll put a link in the description for you. And if you do take advantage of going to the next one, you will see me there. I may or may not be wearing a cape. So one of the breakout sessions that the audience determined the topic of was, how do you like to be marketed to? And it was all about messaging. Marketing is really, at its most simplistic take, is about message plus delivery, right? Because the message, it's not just the message in itself, it's how it comes to you, how that thing feels, how it arrives, what it's packaged like. It is very important to consider delivery with your message. And so I went to this session originally just to learn, just to kind of, hear about how people like to be marketed to in different ways. And what we came up with is, there are times that I am glad I made a connection with somebody, that I am, grateful that, that there's a path and a solution to my problem. I'm okay with being marketed to. I am not okay with being sold to. And the difference is largely kind of subjective. It's, this session reminded me that people aren't judging my marketing by just the experience of my marketing. Just like people don't get on your website and judge you just on the quality and merit of your website alone. They're judging you by every other website they've ever seen. That they're judging my marketing by every other marketing message that they've ever seen. And right now bots are brand new, super easy to be totally original and quirky and fun, and that in itself grabs attention. But this really gave me a larger sort of overview about, what if you took this question a little bit out of its context? What if you gave it the 30,000 feet view and you thought about not just, okay, how do I like to be marketed to? What if you thought about, how do I like to be connected with? How do I like to connect to people and for other people to connect with me? And then, of course, after you have that question answered, I don't have any answers today, by the way. I just have questions. Hope you still love me. Anyway, after you've thought about how you like to be connected with, then expand that view even further and think about, how does your ideal client like to be connected with? How do they like to connect to you? How are these things happening for them? Ideal client, avatar, person that you imagine before you get up in the morning and do your awesome entrepreneurial job, whatever you want to call it. How do they like to be connected to? Because honestly, that's what we're really seeking, is that connection on a deeper level. And so those questions were all very interesting for me to answer. If you can, whip out a piece of paper and answer them for yourself, because then you can get just a little tiny touch of the benefits that I got from going to this conference this weekend. Super huge blast and awesomeness. So that's what I have for you today. I'll be back tomorrow. We'll talk about some more bot stuff, and we'll be a little bit more specific on bot stuff. But I just had to tell you what a great time I had, and that's all for today. Thanks for listening today. You can find full episodes of The Bot Signal on your favorite podcast player. And if you have the Anchor app, stop in, ask me a question, leave me a voice message, and I'll include it on my next show. If you're completely new to bots and you don't know what's going on there, visit me at checkoutmybot.com. Start a conversation with me, take my free mini course. It's all available. Thanks a lot, and I'll see you in a bot.
The podcast you just heard was published with Anchor. Got something you want to say to the creator of this show? Send them a voice message using the Anchor app. Free for iOS and Android.